that's what Jesus used to do, right? After dealing with the disciples, sometimes he retreated into the wilderness to pray.
Yeah, because it's like, I can't believe they said that. And so rather than respond to it, I don't want this apple pie to be sitting around on my side. So I'm going to go take a short walk and I'll be back. And it allows, during that time of a walk, it allows you to get perspective.
It does.
And so that you can come back fresh and rejuvenated and realize what you want to say, what's important to say, and what is important to ignore.
Welcome to the Restore Go podcast, where we discover ways to restore our relationship with God and others. Now, here are your co-hosts, Biblical Therapist Pete Thompson and Biblical Coach Lynne Thompson. Together, let's learn how to restore go.
Welcome to Restore Go. I'm Biblical Therapist Pete Thompson.
And I'm Biblical Coach Lynne Thompson. And for whatever reason, we've had a request to do this on video. Some of you are going to be sorry you asked for we're not Botoxed up. We don't look the part, but we're just two people loving Jesus, trying to do things his way.
So today we're getting ready for the holidays. Mm-hmm. And for some, the holidays are a great experience. You're going to see family you haven't seen for a while, a lot of positive memories. So you're all excited about that. But there's another group of people that it brings anxiety because the holidays weren't that good for that person growing up. And so this is what's going to go wrong now.
Well, you're seeing people that you usually don't spend time with. You might be seeing an aunt or a grandma or a brother or sister or a cousin, someone that you haven't seen in a very long time. And so it can kind of be, can be a little awkward, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes you walk in the door of the house and you've been reduced to a child again, because in their mind, that's how they see you. They see you as the 10-year-old, who got into the pumpkin pie or whatever it is. And so, it just brings back memories for everyone. Some good, some not so good. Sometimes it can be like, you feel like you've walked into a competition journey where, some people are not as excited about the successes you've had. And so there can be, a little bit of tension there. And then others are not believers, right? And so you kind of have a different worldview on how you see things.
Yeah. So we want to reframe this situation about the holidays. The holidays are great, but as Christians, we're going there to be a witness for Christ and to show the people that we're gathering with what Christ would do in that situation. And so it's actually very valuable time to be able to go to the holidays and enjoy the holidays, but also be a witness for who Christ is and how he would act in this situation with family.
So 2 Corinthians 5:20, therefore we are ambassadors for Christ, as though God were making an appeal through us. We beg you on behalf of Christ, be reconciled to God. And, we're ambassadors. We're going as God's ambassadors, representing him. That's what we need to remember when we walk in the door anywhere, but especially around the holidays when we're with other people who may or may not be believers. I love how it says be reconciled to God. Reconciled to God means to be in harmony with his mission. Mm-hmm. And so God's mission is to love these people. God's mission is to reach out to these people. And we want to be in harmony with that.
Because some of these people might not be there next year at the holidays, because none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. And so to leave a good impression of who Christ is with these people, these family members, these friends, is very critical, because we don't know what the future holds. And so as we really put our focus on being obedient to Christ and working on the Great Commission to make disciples of all the nations, and so some of these family members are close and some of them aren't close, but it's still God placed us there to be able to be a witness for him.
Right. Well, Jesus went to some awkward dinner tables too, right? I mean, he was sitting at the table and knock, 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 the Pharisees and scribes show up and they're like, why are you eating with these people? You shouldn't even be eating with these kind of people. And Jesus had a response to him. I'm going to read it to you. Matthew 9:10-13. I love this. That it happened that as Jesus was reclining at the table in the house, behold, many tax collectors and sinners came and were dining with Jesus and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, why is your teacher eating with the tax collectors and sinners? But when Jesus heard this, he said, it is not for those that are healthy who need a physician, but those who are sick. But go and learn what this means. I desire compassion and not sacrifice, for I did not come to call the righteous, but sinners. And, he calls us to this compassion, right?
Because if we love Christ and we're walking with him, it's automatic that we're going to have compassion for our family members, for other people. And so sometimes Lynn and I would go out to dinner and just by ourselves, but there's people that we would run into at the restaurant that God ordained for us to be able to talk to them and maybe encourage them or say something to them that God planned ahead of time for us to do and sent them there at that restaurant at the same time. So when we're getting together with family, it's like God ordained for us to be there at that time. And so we really need to give him, before we go to the gathering, God, use this time for your glory and let us be a blessing to these people that this might be the last time we see them. And so, and when you look at that in light of eternity, it's really a very high calling.
Well, it is. I mean, in a way, Jesus gave us homework, right? He's like, I desire compassion, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I want you to do. I want you to be sacrificial and have compassion. When it comes to doing things we don't like, sometimes we're like, okay, I'll sacrifice. I'll sit by Uncle Bob or Aunt Edna or, that kind of thinking. But, what God desires for us is to have compassion for them, to love these people, to meet them where they're at, right?
Because that's what Jesus would be doing.
Yeah.
And
that's what he did for us.
Yeah. And we're a disciple of Christ. And so we do the same things, ideally done. We do the same things that Christ would do
as his ambassadors, right?
Yeah. In that situation where we would answer questions, we would be loving, and there's people that when we're there that might, bring up political things or all sorts of things, and it's like, everybody has an opinion, but we have to be ready to have an answer for the hope that's in us,
right? As
the primary thing.
Yeah, it's just giving it back with love, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to read Philippians 2:3-8 because it kind of says, it's the great example, right? Do nothing from selfishness or empty conceit, but with humility of mind, regard one another as more important than yourselves. Do not merely look for your own personal interests, but also for the interests of others. Have this attitude in yourselves, which was also in Christ Jesus, who, although he existed in the form of God, did not regard equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself, taking on the form of a bondservant and being made in the likeness of men.
Hey friends, let's be honest. It can be difficult, if not impossible, to find a Christian therapist that's true to your values. Pete Thompson knows that. As a licensed therapist, he is committed to providing godly counsel, introducing helpful tools battling everyday problems like anxiety, addictions, as well as marriage and parenting challenges. Give Pete a call to set up your next confidential appointment online or in the office. Visit PeteThompson.org. Again, that's PeteThompson.org.
So, being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself, right? And became obedient to the point of death, even on the cross. I mean, isn't God calling us for the holidays to have that servant attitude?
Well, yeah, if Jesus died for us and went to the cross for us, we can sit next to Uncle Tom and listen to his jokes and that he says every year.
Right.
And it's like we've got to memorize and we just, in a loving way, we smile and we laugh at the appropriate time at the humor of his joke. And And it makes his day because he is able to contribute something to the gathering, and he feels special because we've listened to it.
Yes. Yes. Well, it's thinking of the needs of someone else.
Yes.
I mean, asking them, hey, how are things going with you? And what's going on in your life? And you may have opened a can of worms and it may last for, 15 minutes, but that's okay, right? Because you're not just sitting there listening to someone go on and talk. You're listening to someone share their heart. You're giving someone an opportunity.
You're validating.
You're validating them. You're giving them a platform for feeling worthwhile. You're a valuable person you're worth listening to.
Yeah.
And what a gift to give someone, right?
Yes.
So that being said, sometimes our flesh wants to crawl off the altar of sacrifice. I know that that's a temptation.
Yeah.
I have. So I've listed some practical things we can do to promote kind of a servant heart during the holidays. So hopefully this will be a blessing to y'all. So one is don't be needy, right? It might not be safe to share intimate details with the people that you have not gained trust with yet. So it's okay to love an unsafe person. It's not okay to need an unsafe person. So you don't want to go in with this neediness, like, I need to be validated. You are who you are in Christ, right?
Because if we're needing to be validated, then we're not really getting our validation from God.
Yeah.
And so if we're getting our validation from God, we're good. We're set. And so we just get to share what God has done in our lives in this last year, rather than needing for their approval to like what we're doing.
Yeah, so true. Use humor. So you don't want to use humor at the other person's expense, right?
No.
Self-deprecating humor, that's okay. When these regular stories come out, which they come out every year, whatever silly thing you did, just agree with them and just be lighthearted. God knows the whole story. He knows the true story, and just be like, oh yeah, you know how I am, or you know how I was, or.
Yeah, those are the things I used to do, and maybe you might embellish it a little bit just to get everybody laughing and have just a good experience, because you know the truth about yourself,
right?
And you've grown up, but sometimes that is the highlight for everybody to be able to laugh, and that doesn't hurt us to laugh at ourselves.
No. The other thing is, maybe there's times to be silent, right? You don't have to jump into a fight, and we all know the baiters, right?
Yeah.
Just throwing stuff out there so they can get your goat and try to get you going. Sometimes your silence is everything you need to say. You don't need to wrestle with other people, right?
No, because that's not what God would do.
True. Yeah. Don't waste time.
No.
Yeah.
No.
The other is to take a walk. So maybe after, you're eating, that's always a good time to say, wow, I need to take a walk and walk some of this off, right? That's what Jesus used to do, right? After dealing with the disciples, sometimes he retreated into the wilderness to pray.
Yeah, because it's like, I can't believe they said that. And so rather than respond to it, I don't want this apple pie to be sitting around my side. So I'm going to go take a short walk, and I'll be back. And it allows, during that time of a walk, it allows you to get perspective.
It does.
And so that you can come back fresh and rejuvenated and realize what you want to say, what's important to say, and what is important to ignore.
It's kind of like a reset button,
yes.
Right? In a way. Yeah,
yeah,
I think so. The other is take a time to make a memory, right? But first of all, don't forget, y'all, to bring a hostess gift, right? That is appropriate. I don't care if it's a flower you need to pick out of your garden, whatever. But, bring some candy, bring some, bring a side dish, whatever it is you do. But bring a hostess gift. It's nice to bring something just for the hostess to say, I thought of you because I know how much time and effort it took to put this entire, meal together and to get your home all ready, and just to be grateful that way. Play a game, or bring a new game, or play a game of some kind.
But don't bring Risk. Don't bring Monopoly.
He's so mean when you play Risk with him. But and then play with the kids, right? But that's always the same thing. And that's kind of a twofer, right? You're walking away from everything for a little bit, and you're also able to invest in the kids. And for these kids, this is their memory. I remember playing football on the lawn with Uncle Bob. I remember, stirring the mashed potatoes with Aunt Susie, or whatever it is. So this is a time to to make some memory.
Because it might not seem like a big thing to you, but it's a huge thing for that child, because that child's going to grow up and have a fond memory of you taking that 5 minutes to do that thing with them.
I love that.
Because they feel validated.
You know what's a good idea is like bringing a holiday book, like a children's story or something, and gathering them around and reading it or something. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, be loving. Like Pete is saying over and over again, you don't know if you're going to see this person again. No one is guaranteed tomorrow. And you do it for them, but also do it for yourself. You don't want to be left with regrets, right? Oh, I wish I
would have said this, or I wish I would have done this. That was our last,
Yeah.
And so you're anticipating that this might be the last time, or, even teenagers, nobody guarantees them tomorrow. So at least with all your interactions with everybody there, it's like, it's a nice word, a friendly word. It might be taking interest in a project that a younger child is doing and validating that. And so it's like you're focused on everybody there. How can I have a positive interaction with everybody there? And that is truly blessing them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's what Jesus would do.
Well, and here, this is a reality. You're not guaranteed tomorrow either.
Yeah.
So what is the lasting impression that you're going to leave on that person? If you don't get to see tomorrow with them because you're gone, what are they going to remember about you?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping, and the last one is that you love them, because love covers a multitude of sins, regardless of what's happened past or present. God forgives us. His mercies are fresh every day, right? And this might be an opportunity to actually practice forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
Matthew 5:14-16, you are the light of the world, and a city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor does anyone hide a lamp under a basket, but on the lampstand, and gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who's in heaven. And we can do that, right, during the holidays?
Because as we show love in these small little ways, that might be the opening later that they want to know about our faith, because we didn't act like everybody else at the party. We acted in a way of showing them God's love at the party. And so they remember that.
Yeah. So that's what we have for you today. Hopefully you'll be able to have a wonderful holiday with family, with friends, and make some amazing memories and to love well. So let's, time to take a question.
Yes.
So if you have a question you want us to address on the podcast, go ahead and send it to question@restorego.net. Again, question@restorego.net. We would love to answer any questions you have. Mm-hmm. We won't use your name, promise. So the question is, as a newly married couple, what advice would you give regarding in-laws? I think that you should listen to everything they say. Pearls of wisdom come off their lips.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the biased response.
Yeah.
But we don't have, our kids aren't married, or our one is married. Yeah. And our one's not. Wait, yes, she's married.
Yeah.
Anyway, how would you respond to that?
So it's a new way of thinking, because for 20-something years, what your parents said had they expected an automatic response like, yes, and how high do you want me to jump? But it always expected an automatic response.
Right.
Now that you're married, the automatic response is, let me check with my spouse on this.
Right.
And we will talk about it as a couple, and we will get back to you in a reasonable amount of time telling you what we think about this opportunity or this idea.
Right. That's good advice. Well, because ideally the husband-wife relationship now is the primary relationship, right? So husband shall leave his mother and father, join with his wife, they should become as one. So when you have become one with each other, you love your in-laws and you respect them.
And they have a lot of good ideas.
Yeah. I mean, there's, we've been around the block a few times as far as our age. So we've seen things, we've learned things, we've gleaned things over the years. And there's no need to
reinvent the wheel
or to make the same mistakes, right? Because there's mistakes I've made in my life that I'm like, no, don't do this. It doesn't work, So we offer that too as in-laws. But ideally, the primary couple is husband and wife.
And if we want a good relationship with them
Yes.
as in-laws, we need to respect their ability to be able to make a decision on their own. And we might not agree with the decision,
Right.
but if we want the relationship to be strong, we have to validate, okay, you guys are adults and that's a decision, and we will honor that decision.
We don't have to agree with it, but
No.
you know, that's the decision you've made, and we'll pray for you. So, just kidding.
Because
Well, we will pray for them, but
because we're like consultants.
yes.
Well,
It's a different type of relationship, right?
Yes.
Because you're not parenting anymore.
No.
You're coaching, you're encouraging.
Yeah, and that way the relationship stays good.
Yes, I totally agree. So thank you so much for answering that, Pete. And again, if you have any questions you'd like us to address on the podcast, just send it to question@restorego.net, question@restorego.net. So thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. We drop one every Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So like and subscribe so you don't miss anything. Have a wonderful week and be blessed.
Thank you for listening to the Restore Go podcast. Now, Restore Go is produced by Pete Thompson Christian Counseling. Pete is a licensed therapist who offers affordable family and individual counseling in North Texas and online throughout the United States. Pete provides counseling from a biblical perspective. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and visit us at PeteThompson.org.